It helps if I turn the camera on. Who knew? Who knew? I'm sure somebody out there knew that it definitely helps. Yeah. Nobody just wants to stare at a number 4. Good morning, Mike. Hope you're having a wonderful morning. Cement Shoes, good morning. What the? All right. The world's gone to hell. What did you do, Cement Shoes? You changed your profile picture. Laura, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. I hope we are having a wonderful morning. It's Capone now. That's what I was guessing. If I had to take a guess. Good morning, Gayla. Hi, Will, and everyone. It's bright and sunny in Sacramento. Old G. Good morning, Will, and everyone. Good morning. Hope you are both having a wonderful morning. Thank you for joining me this morning. To you, Old G. I'm looking at Old G's picture icon. It's something Red Bull. It is a rodeo bull and rider. Wow. Good morning, Half Rudder. How are you doing? Whoa, Lisa. Good afternoon from London. Good morning or afternoon. Whoa, Lisa. Ooh, Lisa. Kelly P, good morning. Mike Stevens, but it's 10 degrees in Jersey. It is 29 degrees and partly cloudy where I am. Motocross. Oh. Kind of hard to tell. First off, I'm not wearing my glasses. So that's, it doesn't help me at all. I'm trying to figure out what things are. I might have to change it to a different pic of him because it doesn't look too obvious who he is. Yeah, I mean, I was still guessing Capone because of the fedora or an older gangster, but still, it works. It's just not Klinsky, which threw me off. Gianna Marie, good morning. It's 70 degrees in SoCal. Well, good morning. Welcome to this morning's news and chat. Rykart, just hatching. Good morning. Oops. Sacramento yesterday. Now I'm in Buron, California. It's a little chilly, but very sunny as well. Well, that's good. As long as you're staying safe out there, Rykart. That's what matters. Take a second, hit that thumbs up, and subscribe if you're new. Well, thank you, Cement Shoes, for the message. I hope everybody does. Lucky you, it's 11 degrees in Michigan. Linda, good morning. Sketty Nona. Greetings, Will and Chet. All right, so I wanted to get into a little bit of news first off the bat in case I'm not sure if anybody caught this story overnight, but the first thing I wanted to talk about was Brian Laundrie. Yesterday, the FBI released their final results of their investigation into the death of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. And in the final report, the FBI investigation into Gabby's death, the FBI wrote that Brian Laundrie claimed responsibility for his fiance's death in a notebook that was found near his remains. And this is why his parents wanted the notebook so badly. They never wanted it to be put into evidence. And once it was put into evidence in a case, they wanted it back before this was released. Yes. But he took responsibility for the actual death of Gabby. The FBI Denver, which led the investigation, said the notebook, a backpack, and a revolver were found near the remains later, identified as Laundrie. In the notebook was written Laundrie written confession, the FBI said. A review of the notebook revealed several written samples by Mr. Laundrie claiming responsibility for Miss Petito's death, the FBI wrote. The FBI on Friday also confirmed the Laundrie had been attempting to deceive law enforcement by giving the impression that Miss Petito was still alive by continuing to text chain between their two phones after she was believed to have died. Laundrie used Petito's debit card while driving alone from Wyoming to his parents' home in Florida in early September, the FBI said. So we now know for factually, it was released yesterday that Brian Laundrie was the one who killed Gabby. The investigation into her death has now been closed. We knew it was Brian all along, and there was nobody else there. But and then he tried to act like she was still alive by continuing the text messages between the two cell phones. So kind of throw off the investigation in case they started to look at him. And we know that the revolver and everything else. We do not know if the revolver belonged to his father yet, or if the revolver belonged to Brian. Now, according to records in the state of Florida, there was no handgun or rifle or any kind of weapon like that sold to Brian Laundrie. Now, that doesn't mean he didn't buy it in another state. It just there were no sales records in the state of Florida. So, good morning, K-Love. I think it was Mutual Combat gone bad. I don't think Brian was evil. I have when it comes to if Brian was evil or if Gabby was the just the victim itself. I'm kind of torn on that, but when it comes at the end of the day, when it boils down to is there are two sets of parents that on one side that lost a loved one, and Brian Laundrie's parents lost their son as well. It's a tragic event all the way across the board. Trying to look back on it now and pick apart their lives and do all that is, I think, is an injustice to both Gabby and to Brian. But if there's any blame in the entire thing that I would put on anyone, I would put more blame on Brian's parents than anyone in this situation. Besides, obviously, Brian confessed to killing Gabby. In putting your hands in violence upon anyone is wrong. But if there's additional blame to be placed on anybody, I think Brian Laundrie's parents knew an awful lot more than they were willing to talk about or ever going to talk about. I wonder if you'll get to peek inside that notebook. Well, now that the investigation is over with, the FBI will now release all the personal effects of Brian's back to his parents, and all the personal effects that they have that belong to Gabby, they will release back to Gabby. Now, the van is an interesting subject in itself. What will happen to the van itself? Will it go to the Laundries or will it go to Gabby's parents? Or will they make the sale of the division of the actual van, 50-50, for any proceeds that may come from it? Morning, everyone. Joining in, welcome. A thumbs up. Get those thumbs up. I'm sure that people will, you know, be all over this story on YouTube here shortly, if not already this morning. But this was released last night. Scroll back up to the top here. Got it. Yeah, 8:15 p.m. That's Pacific Standard Time. So West Coast of the United States at 8:15. This was released. And the only update on the story was a correction in this part right here on the FBI on Friday. Because it was 8:15, they didn't know if the story was going to get out. Originally, it did not say the date, but that was the only update in this story. This is from CBS News, by the way. It's the source that I was looking at. But the rest of the story just goes into talking about Gabby Petito, 22, had been on a cross country trip with her fiance, and they're on. Good morning, Adam. If it was Brian's parents, I would send it home to Gabby's family if they wanted. Well, according to Gabby's parents, they still haven't received the items that are in their home, or were, at least the items were in their home, the personal effects of Gabby's. They've refused to release them back to Gabby's parents. We're talking about her clothes, her actual, makeup, and personal effects in that nature, and items that, because they've been living in the laundry home, and these items were in the actual home, and they weren't taken as evidence by the FBI. So, but they refused to give them to them. Stuffed animals that Brian Laundrie gave to Gabby, other personal effects, items that the two of them had bought and put into that storage unit. Excuse me. That were, half of them belonged to Gabby, half of them belonged to Brian, but they refused to give any of that stuff to Gabby's family. They've kept all of it for themselves and have refused to communicate with Gabby's family in any way about returning or getting the items back to them. Wasn't it Gabby's van? The van was registered in Gabby's name, but the part that the division would be between it is it was joint income that paid for the van, because the money that they made from social media went into one account that they paid their bills from, and that account was the Capital One account that they say that he used a debit card for. We could split fingers on, hairs on, if that money, since it was only in Gabby's name and there were two debit cards to that account, did Brian Laundrie actually have rightful use of that money? Now, Gabby had a separate account all by herself. Brian had a separate account all by himself, but they had that one Capital One 360 checking account that the money for the van came out of. The upkeep and maintenance, oil change and stuff like that, would have come out of that account as well. So does that make the van property of 50% Brian's, 50% hers? Because the money that they earned from social media and everything else went into that account. So you wouldn't have had those earnings. An attorney could make this argument that the proceeds that were in that account were 50-50, because you wouldn't have earned that money to be put into that account unless it was for Brian and for Gabby. Now, the state of Florida is not an equal property state, so in case of a divorce, she would have kept it. If you want to look at it that way, but they were never married, thank God, and they never had any kids, because I think that Brian was definitely controlling to a point, but I don't know how much. So, and I'm really torn on that, and a lot of people really hate that I talk about that, because I just think that there wasn't as much controlling issue there between them, because if there was, I really just I can't put myself in the mindset of Gabby, where she took him to the airport, he flew home, and yet she stayed right there. If he was controlling, you would think that that would be her break, her one chance opportunity to get the hell out of Dodge, call someone, pick up the phone, leave. But I don't want to say that that doesn't happen. I just can't put myself in that mindset. So it's tough. And looking back on it without being a party to the conversations and what really took place, especially in Utah and everything else, it's basically it comes down to his word against her word. She said he didn't do it. She said she hit him first. He said it never happened. He said she was overreacting. I mean, what really took place? And that's one of the reasons why the officers in the state of Utah never made an arrest of Brian, because it basically came down to, it was her word against his word, and she made contradicting statements to what really took place. And a lot of people are like, I mean, that the law says they have to make an arrest. No, they don't. They don't have to make an arrest, especially under COVID rules. A lot of people don't realize, and if there wasn't an obvious signs of an altercation, they don't necessarily have to arrest either one of the parties. And that's what they did. I'm beginning to feel towards, oops, feel towards the Laundries like I do the Watts, simply because they won't return her belongings. Valid point, Caleb. I, they fell for his BS. So sad. Yeah. The Denver FBI mission seems to be more to just protect the Laundries instead of getting justice for Gabby and her family. I don't, Reichert, I don't think we're ever going to get justice in this case. Justice in this case would be, especially in light now that we have the actual confession by Brian, and the obvious, remorse and him taking his own life after the fact, of what he did. But remember, from the time that he killed Gabby and then he went into the reserve, there's a good chunk of time there, and then him actually dying, taking at his own hands. But I don't know. It's easy to look back on things like this, and try to find blame. I mean, again, if I have to place blame, I place it more on Brian Laundrie and his parents than on the Gabby side. I don't see any blame there, other than she made some really terrible decisions. But I don't know about the Denver FBI's office, protecting them. It's just that they kind of follow the rule of law and follow along with that without trying to go up or above from one side or the other. I feel worse towards the Laundries and the Watts family. Law enforcement are mandated to arrest domestic violence in California. They are in a lot of places, Gala, but because of the COVID, issues across the United States, I know in my actual area, from now this is would be what secondhand, right? Because my friend, who was a local officer, we were talking about situation that came up where there was a call of a disturbance of the peace. He responded along with another officer to the disturbance of the peace. When they got there, they found out that there was a mutual combat between a girlfriend and her boyfriend. And instead of normally, if there was any signs of physical injury to either one, they would have been mandated to have to make an arrest, immediately separate the two. One either has to go to jail, they have to separate them in some way, and they can't be there. Most of the time, it's arrest, and unfortunately, regardless if she attacked him first, it would have been if he put his hands on her. Where I live, state law, looks at it more as okay, he's the perpetrator in this because he can physically control her. They looked at it that way. But I mean, so most of the time it's the male who gets arrested and not the female, unless it's obviously that the female attacked him and he was defending himself. But because of COVID rules, they we didn't want to load the jail up, and with so many people. So they said, okay, you're going to try to separate them. Okay, you have to go away for the evening, and you have to go your own way for the evening, and separate them that way, as opposed to arresting one party. Is what the mandate that was pushed down during the COVID lockdown. And that was about the same time that that Gabby and Brian had their altercation, and the Utah State Police got involved. But COVID didn't change it in California. Yeah, that's good. I mean, if there's an assault, it needs to stay that way. I'm not going to argue against that it shouldn't have been that way. I mean, I think the entire thing was kind of ridiculous, to tell you the truth. But RuPaul, good morning and welcome. Welcome to this morning stream. RuPaul, really quickly while I have you on the horn here. So you posted a message on Facebook yesterday about, is this the new Facebook group? I tried to reply to that several times, and every time I did, it just highlighted it in gray, and it wouldn't actually let me post a reply to you. But yes, sweetheart, that is the new Facebook page. So to answer your question, if I were I've done DV call, Gabby would have been arrested. It is hard to phantom. Okie dokie, and good morning. Well, you made it this morning, RuPaul. Yeah, I got to figure out what the Facebook. Me and my social media manager. We have to figure out what the hell that is going on with the Facebook, because I've tried to post links to videos. You'll see that the last post that I did was just right around Thanksgiving, and we've been trying to like post things to it because we have an automated system that should post directly to Facebook and to Twitter, but for some reason it's not working. So we think what it's doing is it's blocking me from having access and posting to it. So we'll get it shortened, figured out here pretty soon. Jeanette, good morning. Debbie Gilligan, good morning. I'm not late. I was the second one in the chat, but you must not have seen me. I'm sorry, Debbie. I'm really sorry about that. If I didn't see you, and that's my bad. I'm sorry. But I hope you had a wonderful week. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm doing good. Very keen to ask, did everyone follow the Chandler Handelson case? I did. Would love to hear your thoughts. Actually, I followed it quite a bit, and even if I didn't want to follow that RuPaul, I was texted and sent video of someone holding the phone and and looking at their television. My family is from that area, and they thought that it would have been the number one thing on my sheet of things to be doing at any given hour of the day and night. So as news stories, and updates and things on the case took place, I was given a lot of updates. Now, what do I think about it? I think Chandler is a sick son of a, you fill in the blank. He was guilty as hell. Obviously, thankfully, they found him guilty in the case, but there is a mountain of evidence, and he's not exactly what you would call one of the top 10 most brilliant criminals either. Oh yeah, yeah. I got quite a bit of family in that area. I don't know anybody from the inside. I don't know anybody in the local lockup. He most likely will be sent out of the state of Wisconsin to serve his time because it's such a high profile in that area. If he does go to and does his time in the state of Wisconsin, he'll probably go to Wapom, or they have a deal with the state of Wisconsin with the state of Illinois, so they may send him to Illinois. If I had to pick, where they're going to send him. What a sick dude he is. Yeah, I could imagine doing something like that, to my parents. For what was it? What was his reason for it? It doesn't matter what his real reason was, but it's still. I don't think he's insane. I think he border. If he okay, I'm gonna say this, but he is. I know what the answer is, but I want to say it anyways. I think he might be a sociopath, but he hasn't been diagnosed as a sociopath, as far as I know. But I think he definitely is he is if he does not a sociopath, he shows a lot of the signs of being a sociopath. And I know a lot of people just like to toss words out like sociopath and narcissist and psychopath, but he fits a lot and checks off a lot of boxes on the list for sociopath. Good morning, NRPs. Welcome to this morning's news and chat. Too bad that the Daybell's attorney doesn't take the stance that the Halloran's attorney took. Daybell's actions wouldn't be defended either. Boom, says old G. Short Nice, good morning. Welcome to this morning's news and chat. I hope you had a wonderful week. All right, so the next story that I wanted to share is about good old Murdaugh. Former South Carolina lawyer Alex Murdaugh faces 27 new charges, accused of stealing $8.8 million. Like the video of the Watch app about the commissary purchases. Oh, thank you, Gayla. That was a complete fluke. I'll tell you about that. How that all that came down right after I talk about this. Alex Murdaugh faces 27 new charges for stealing $8.8 million. And the best thing about this 8.8 million is he never would have been able to purchase, and they can tie the purchase of his family home directly to this money that they now say he stole. He didn't have the money at the time when he stole this. Oops. Hopefully, I'm getting more of these stupid pop-ups. I turned the thing off. 4 new indictments were issued Friday against once prominent lawyer Alex Murdaugh. The South Carolina Attorney General Office announced the 27 new charges outlined in the indictment include breach of trust and fraudulent intent, and computer crimes. At the time of the announcement, 53-year-old Murdaugh was in custody at the Alvin S. Glenn Detention Center in Columbia. The latest charges add to the dozens he was already facing, including breach of trust, fraudulent intent, obtaining property by false pretenses, money laundering, computer crimes, and forgery. Yeah. I think next time he hires someone to kill him, I think he should really make sure that that individual does it. Good morning, So. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you had a wonderful week, So. All right. Those charges were filed in November and December of last year, according to the South Carolina Attorney General's office. The new indictments alleged Murdaugh defrauded his victims of $2,657,016.12. When added to his previous indictments, Murdaugh is now accused of stealing $8,875,944.45. But the money that in the actual indictment itself, the and the money that was stolen directly from the family of his former housekeeper who died, supposedly tripped over the dogs and died. Um, that money that was stolen from them they can make a direct connection between that and purchasing the family home that or one of the family homes that he had, not the retreat or resort, whatever the hell he called it. He had some name for it, like it escapes me right now. I've been telling everyone about the Duggar skits and K Dog and Night Train. Everyone was cracking up and dying to watch them. Oh, thank you, Cement Shoes. I've had a lot of fun doing those. Right? I mean, okie dokie. He's already. I mean, he's got 27 right now, and they're not even done because they're looking at him for interstate commerce fraud because of several of the actual charges may end up being federal instead of state. So if they decide to nail him for on those charges, that'll be on top of the money laundering and everything else that he did in his own state. If they can prove that he did the embezzled and took the money, by electronic means, I guess it would be. I don't know. I'm not sure how they would actually say that, but those would be federal charges. So we could end up by the time he ends up going to court and dealing with all this, it could be in the 50 somewhere in there. Wonderful. Good morning, Charlie. I hope you had a wonderful week. I wonder if the sun knocked her over. I think that the entire circumstances around her dying was kind of fishy, to begin with. All right, so I want to tell you guys about quickly about the Christopher Watts thing. So in the beginning of the video, I put in there that all I was trying to do was get a copy of the visitor's log. Had no intentions of ever making another video on Christopher Watts. And when I got the actual copy of the visitor's log, in there was this commissary sheet. I believe it's from October, but I'm not 100% sure on the actual date because the way that they wrote it out, it looks like they added an extra digit, and I'm not sure what the extra digit is for. So if I take that number and it'd be the month, day, and then a year, but if I take that, there's an extra digit. So I'm not sure what for. So I'm believing that the first one is the month. That would be 10. So I'm believing it's from October. But regardless, put that aside. That was in there. The reason why I was requesting the visitor's log was because someone who I've been talking to offline on the actual phone and by email had told me that they had gone and visited Christopher Watts not once but 3 times total, and during a certain period of time. And I don't know if they didn't think that I would ever request the information to, corroborate their story that they've gone and visited him. But I wanted to make sure because there was something about the story that just didn't sound right to me. And I wanted to make sure that this person was telling the truth. I mean, think about it this way. If you start off with this lie, everything else, what do you believe, and what they're telling you? So when I looked at it and I got the actual visitor's log, I was like, she's never been there. She's not on the visitor's log. She's not on the approved visitors list. Nothing. And I'm like, okay. So then I started to dig into her story a little bit more, and I found her, and I won't tell you who she is, but she's done things like this in the past, and this happens a lot, unfortunately, especially in high profile cases. People want to connect themselves to the case, and they want people to believe that what they're saying is truthful and that they're part of it. So it makes them a little bit more important than just the average person out here. This, give you an example. Joe says he saw a murder, and Joe, gives you details about the murder. Joe says, I was there. This is what happened. And nobody else was a direct eyewitness to this murder. But it turns out Joe wasn't there. Everything that Joe knows, he learned from media and from other people reporting on it. But the murder really happened, but Joe wasn't there again. There are people who will be that Joe in that situation, and it happens a lot. Oh, I was there. I know this. In the Christopher Watts case, Trent Bowles, who said he had a homosexual relationship with Christopher Watts, and they dated and they met on this website and everything else. All of that was a lie. And quickly, when the police went to go talk to him and investigate that part of the story, he quickly changed his story, and just kind of vanished off into the the mist of the background, because he knew he couldn't prove anything about what he had said, and the dates and times and everything else that he had initially said that he had met Christopher Watts, and the website that he said he met him on, there was no account that matched up. And the dates, a couple of the dates that he said that they met on, it was easy to disprove. But anyways, the dates that he said that him and Christopher Watts got together for and had their sexual encounters, Christopher Watts was back in North Carolina with the family. He couldn't have been there for it. So the police were like, well, we know you're full of shit, but why are you saying this? Maybe you're confused on the dates. And then when they confronted him with it, he changed the entire story and said he made it all up. Now, there are people like that in every high profile case. And so if you just look at the actual facts and you start looking into things, like a high profile case like that, there are people all the way around it who will say that they've been involved, they saw something, they know something, and they want to be in there. They want to move from the outer circle in closer so people will look at them and pay attention to them. That's what this lady was doing. She's been online for a while talking about the case, and then when I started talking to her by email initially, it came down to she started to give me information about somebody who would have been there, or somebody who would have known something directly from Christopher Watts, as if she was relating a part of the story directly to me, that she had heard from him. And then when I inquired about that, that's what she said. She had visited him there at Dodge Correction Center. And I was like, oh, okay. So then that went on for a while. And then eventually, we talked a couple times on the telephone. And then I was like, I don't, I'm going to do my due diligence. So I then requested the visitors logs for a month prior and a month after. So I had all the visitors logs of people who visited him during that time frame, just in case she was off by a month when she visited, or before or after. So I had all the visitors logs. She's nowhere on there, nor is she ever been on the approved visitors list. But anyways, for some odd reason, When I got the actual records, they included the commissary list. It wasn't on my request, and that's why the video came about. My middle son went to get tested for COVID. He's never caught it yet. COVID sucks. Does he have COVID? I'm sorry if he does, Tracy Ann. Molly, good morning, love. Back took forever. Me and my wife had a really interesting conversation about COVID the other day and pertaining our son. So in the we get a text alert every single day from the school system about which schools in our area have had the most well, which ones have had COVID positive results at element, because he's in kindergarten, and we've totaled it up. In the past week there have been 600 some cases at his elementary school where students have tested positive for COVID, or the school has been notified that the student is not there because they've tested positive for COVID. So we're to that. At least I am. I don't know. I'm not sure where my wife is. I can't speak for her, but I'm pretty sure she's along right here with me. And my thinking. At what point do we consider pulling our son from school until the COVID numbers start to go back down? Because right now, I mean, sad as this is, but when it comes to the medical side of it and getting treatment, if there's one ventilator available and he was to get COVID and need a ventilator, they would be more likely to not give it to my son over another child, because my son is on the spectrum. He's autistic, and there is a lot of bias against in the medical community about giving medical life-saving devices to children who are autistic or have Down syndrome or have other mental or learning disabilities. And I wish that wasn't true, but there have been studies after studies after studies all over the world that have proven that doctors are biased against children with disabilities as opposed to children who don't. They'll give more to this child who doesn't have a disability than a child who does. So do we keep on risking our child going to school in the circumstances right now with so many children in his actual school? And I'm like, well, how, if there's 600 positives at his school, how many children are possibly left that don't have it? We all wanted these smaller classrooms. We all wanted the for better learning environment for children. But these smaller classrooms means that one person with COVID in it is easily spread amongst an entire population of students in that classroom, as opposed to it being a large classroom with a few children. We shrunk in the school system we are and where we live. They shrank the classroom down. They shrank the class sizes of total number of students to teacher to students, so they're not having to work as much for group to group, from individual to individual. So it's spreading like wildfire in his elementary school. Excuse me. So we're that's where we're at on the entire thing. Do we continue to send him to school? I don't trust YouTube. Too many meanies. LOL. I told. Good morning, sensible crime. How are you doing? I hope you've been doing well. I told my sister if they are short on ventilators, pass me up so the young people can have a chance. I don't know why, but on my end, my chat keeps on freezing. I have not only 5 bars, but I have a backup you know, because we now have Ziply and we have Spectrum still, at least until the end of this month, and then Spectrum is going bye bye. But I have, so I'm looking at my signal bar. I have 5 and 5 out of 5 on each of them. I have no idea why it's my you know, it keeps on freezing though. Didn't they mandate that Black and Latinos be a priority in New York? I don't know about that, Sketty Donut. Biased against us older folks too. Athena F. Good morning and welcome to this morning's news and chat. It's crazy. They all have hell of a battle if they tried that. I wouldn't put him at risk if it was me. I'd pull him ASAP. Jeanette, good morning. But yeah, I mean, that's where we're at. We're trying to decide. At some point, though, the risk, you know, versus reward, we have to decide what is the best thing in his nature, and trying to get the school system at the same time. Originally, they had everything was done by remote, and then they said they kind of eased them back into the classroom, and they eased them back in until it was okay, 100% on, you know, in student learning only, and they dumped, I mean, absolutely dumped the online learning option, completely. They just abandoned it. It literally it looks like it's like right in the middle of a paragraph, and then it just stopped because they pulled the plug, and all the students went back to school. I'm like, why isn't the school system giving students that option right now? At least in our area, they're not. I would hope that they would, because I I could pull up the actual results, in our area. And it take me a second here. I have to like scroll down all through the stupid, and I don't need the world news. I need local. There we go. Local. Do, 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 do. They've deployed the National Guard to our local hospitals to aid in with testing and other areas. 1,200 National Guard officer officers, people with the National Guard have been deployed just to our area to deal with it. All right. Um, on Thursday of this past week, there were 2,102 new cases of COVID in our area. There are 37,000 people in our area where we live. So there are 2,021, so just say 22,000 new ones in our area. And that was one day. Uh, on Tuesday, 2,182 new cases were reported on Tuesday alone. So we're, what, almost 4,500 right there. And Wednesday, 1,385. And obviously Friday's numbers won't come out until next week. But I mean, the whole this Omni thing is so much easier to catch apparently, and or whatever. And I don't care where people believe, if they believe in it or not. I you gotta live underneath a rock, basically, to believe that it's not working. Some children did not get extreme symptoms. This is especially true if they are vaccinated. Yeah, and some of the vaccinations didn't go out to areas, especially children with autism, Down syndrome, and other mental health and physical, and learning disabilities. These pockets of children were not, their pediatricians did not recommend getting COVID shots for these groups, of students as well. Elizabeth, good morning. Some cases at the beginning were placebos, so purposely to make them look safe to the general public, advanced narrative. Slowly, placebos were eliminated. What's new with Watson prison? Well, Gianna Marie, uh, beyond the video that I did yesterday on what he ordered on commissary, I believe in October of last year. I don't know. I stopped following the case. I stopped everything on it. I didn't want to see his pathetic little face ever again or talk about him. He is so, every moment that he's alive is a moment longer than he deserves to be alive. But I gave up on and stopped talking about it or covering the case altogether. And I only requested, and I just went over why I requested the visitation log, and that commissary list was in there for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it was. But that's why I did the video. Otherwise, I never would have even done that. But I don't know what's new with him beyond that. I'm sure he's getting fat. If he's eating all that junk food, he's got to be getting chunky by now. If Chris Watts looked like Anthony Todd or John List, no one would remember his name. Yeah, that's true. Sensible crime to a point. I think more the fascination with the Watts family murders is they look like the stereotypical suburban family, and it's the kind of like rags to riches story of a family getting together and building themselves up and lifting themselves up to the next social economic level. A lot of that has to play into why so many people are fascinated with the Christopher Watts, himself and the case. And that and Shanann had a really large social media presence. A lot of people followed her. That drove interest into the case. So there's a lot of different aspects that drove into it. But yes, if he would have looked like a plain Jane individual, like John List, that definitely is right. If he was like some ugly, like ugh, in the pictures of him with his shirt off, like, all swole, as my wife would say, that definitely helped, played into it. But I just feel so bad for the Roost checks. And so many people just harassed the living. They still haven't stopped, but they're it was there for a while. It got pretty bad. The hatred towards them, and for what reason, I have no one will ever understand. The trolls just came out in force against them. The keyboard warriors who think that they can say whatever they want and there's no repercussions for anything that they say. In some aspects, the law is very lacking. Um, and some people profited a lot off of their version of the truth of the case, their version, because they certainly didn't base it in facts. I need to quit baking cookies. The waistline is showing. I mean, you can continue to bake cookies, Gayla. My PO box is on the. You can send them to me. I'll take a couple dozen snickerdoodles. My mother-in-law has switched from baking me cookies to making muffins. So the other day she made me carrot cake muffins and chocolate banana muffins. Oh, the chocolate bananas are so good. Ooh. She puts the little mini chocolate chips in there, so they're just little tiny pockets of melted. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, it's definitely showing on the old waistline for me as well. I completely agree. Hostile towards Shannon's parents and brother is disgusting. Yeah, and that one person out there was the absolute worst. I won't mention any names. They're his fans are going to hate me anyways. That's okay. I'm all right with it. I sleep well at night because I know I'm on the right side of history. Joanne, I watched a video about the murder of the Watts family and I cried my heart out. I can't imagine the evil. Inner peace can help. We'll help take those cookies off your hands, Gayla, if you want to continue to make cookies. We're just saying, we're a community of people here. We could all gather on Saturday mornings and eat Gayla's cookies. Muffins over cookies. Yum. My husband is trying to perfect peanut butter bars. Ooh, that sounds good, Sketty Nona. That sounds good. I never peanut butter bars. I recommend the Wisconsin versus Edinburgh trial. By the way, road rage incident led to murder. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. When it comes to Christopher Watts, no. And I really wish more people would watch that video. Um, the first time I put the video up, it's just an interview of Christopher Watts' mom, Cindy. The first time I put it up, I had like 425,000 views on it. And then I re-uploaded it because I needed to correct something that was in the actual video itself. Yeah, I had to take a part out of there that was there was music in it that that I played as the exit video that I didn't have the I didn't have the authority to use that song anymore. It's not copyright protected, but I didn't have it, so I had to take it out. And I couldn't figure out how to use the stupid editor with YouTube to be able to, silence that, the song. But since I've re-uploaded, I think I have 200, 300,000 somewhere in there. I can't keep track of how many views I have on it now. But it's got to be, total overall, it's got to be close to 1 million views on that video. But it's still not enough. The Cindy Watts interview. That's one of the only interviews that I have. But I wish I had the other ones still. But I gave them all away when I got rid of all the Christopher Watts shit. They were all saved on a thumb drive. Oh, sorry, I got stretched. Now you're hungry. Okie dokies, hungry guys. Time to get the cookies baking. Cindy's nuts. She is. She is absolutely bonker out of her effing mind. But it's no wonder Christopher Watts turned out the way he did. Right? If you think about it, and the people that were around him, his wife. I need to look for that video with his mom. I'll put a link to it in the description, Joanne. Just give me a second here. I'll pull it up. Yeah. Contact. All right. Hopefully this doesn't play. All right. It says host, but that's me. I'm the host. That's the link to the Cindy Watts interview. It's 36 minutes and 33 seconds in total length. It's titled Cindy Watts' Narcissistic Mother of Chris Watts from November 18th, 2018. The interview says everything. Yeah. Scott Peterson's mother was deeply damaged by the childhood in a horrific children's home. I get the feeling that from Cindy that something awful happened to her too. She has no compassion. no compassion, and she refuses to see that her son did anything wrong. She believes that he is still the perfect little child that she raised, and that he didn't become the monster, of the person who, he is. And that's the truth. I know if one of my children was to do something as horrific as that, I don't know. Would I disown him? I don't think I would. I mean, but I can't say for certain until you're actually thrown into that kind of a situation. It's kind of hard to judge and say, how you would actually feel or what you would do. But I certainly would never make a series of videos blaming the victim, like she did. That she made herself those videos that she ended up originally deleting. But once you put something on the internet, what she doesn't realize is it's out there forever. You can try to hide it as much as you want, and deny it. But once you make those videos like she did before, and those were right around the time of the sentencing. But it's one of those things where it's like, until you're really in that situation, you really don't know what you're going to do. But she's definitely a piece of work. That's true, Adam. I would definitely not uphold either. I told my kids I will always love them. I won't visit them in jail. My friend's son is looking at 15 years in the state penitentiary for distribution of what the prosecuting attorney calls Mexican meth. I have no idea why it's called Mexican meth over just regular meth. Don't need to know, really. I guess it's still drugs. He's been a lost soul for a long time. Any thoughts of Jelaine and Prince Andrew? Well, Prince Andrew's screwed. What, he got stripped of all his royal duties and everything else. I'm surprised that it took so long, for the Queen to finally say, "That's it, Prince Andrew, bye bye." But he's when it comes to his legal battle there in the UK, it ain't looking good for good old Prince Andrew. Um, Giselle, Ghislaine, whatever. Um, yeah, as far as her, she actually has a tiny chance of winning on appeal. There's a couple of different issues that they're there. I don't know if her attorneys are going to be able, successful at keeping her out of jail, but she's guilty. Yes, and stripped of his medals. Yeah, Randy Andy royal butt is cooked. A sex offender needs to be punished regardless of who his family is. Shame on him, and he is deserve what he gets. That's true, very true. Thank you for the comment, Joanne. Queen Elizabeth played Sketty Nona on Prince Andrew. My daughter thought she killed someone, and I took her to the police station, made them breathalyze her. She was 20, FYI. She didn't kill anyone. I'm sorry. A lot of people make innocent mistakes like that in life. It's different, between doing something, and I can understand how completely different that is. An accident, something that you knew you shouldn't have done, but it truly is an accident. It wasn't like your daughter got loaded and got behind a car and said, "I'm going to find someone and run over." That's different. If she ran over her ex-boyfriend or something after she got loaded and got behind the wheel of her car. Whereas Christopher Watts intentionally murdered his wife and his children. I mean, they're completely different in my book. I could probably support my child if they had done something, here, on this side, like an accent like that, as opposed to this. Just don't. But again, I wouldn't know how I actually would react completely until I seen it. I was thrown in it. Good morning, Christina. Thank you, Interpeas. I really enjoyed this channel. I'm silent watcher mostly. Well, thank you, Christina. I'm glad you could be here with us this morning. I still like to say hello to everybody. Her attorneys have already filed the motion for a new trial because of the juror number 50. They will prevail. You think so, Athena? Good morning, Gone Girl. I'm doing great, sweetheart. Thank you for asking. The family is doing great. They're all still asleep. We all had a pretty late night. My son finally fell asleep at about 11 o'clock last night. Me and my wife didn't get to bed until probably about midnight. We bought my son a complete bedroom set. It's a bunk bed, and it's got a dresser and a closet all in one modular unit. So that's going to be fun to put together. So we don't know how we'd react unless we're in this situation. That's true, Mel. We don't. I mean, we can sit back right now and look at a situation, and go, you know what? That's how I would react. I would never do this. I would never do that. But then until you're thrown into it and you have to deal with the actual emotions and everything else, which and how you're feeling is going to sway your decision one way or another. But still the things that Cindy did, I can't imagine anyone with with two brain cells that that are firing correctly would ever do the things that she did. You sent me a new video. All right, I'll take a look at it after the stream, sweetheart. And in case anybody else is wondering, I have another video that's coming out today, but it won't be out until 2 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So 3 hours difference for the East Coast of the United States from the West Coast. I don't know wherever you are in the world, what the time difference there would be. But I have a video that will be released today at 2 p.m. It's already set to release, so it's already on my channel. And the comment section stopped again. The Watson the laundry suck. they do. Cindy Watts is a different brand of weird. Yeah, she is. You love the comedy videos? Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That was a huge leap of faith for me, ladies and gentlemen. Since I started this, I got to tell you this in case I haven't done this before. When I first started this YouTube channel, I originally wanted to make not necessarily comedy skits. One of the ideas I had was to make kind of like a mockery skit of certain cases and individuals that I was reporting on and covering. And I decided not to do it. I talked myself out of never doing it until I think it was right around like November, October of last year. And I was looking at my total overall plan. I mean, you have to have a plan in life, right? So I have a plan, for this channel, for where I would like to see the channel be now, and I have a 2-month goal, 4 months, 6, 8, 12, and so on, for the entire year. And there's certain metrics and goals that I'd like to meet along the way. And I said, this is year 4, and that I'm going into. And I said, look, I got to throw everything out there and try it all and see if anybody is going to like it or if they're going to agree with these ideas that I've had. And it was like, it's either going to, be, a huge success, or people are going to absolutely hate me for doing it because they believe it. I tuned in and I subscribed for this reason only. And don't you dare do anything that's different. You may think that sounds weird, but there are an awful lot of people who don't, you sign up for a cross stitching channel. You never want to see them making, something else. You don't ever want to see them knitting on that channel. You signed up for cross stitching, and I'll be damned if they ever do anything that's outside of cross stitching. That's a lot of people who actually do subscribe to my channel feel about my content. We tune in because we want the truth. We tune in because we want you to tell us what the facts are of the case. I didn't tune in to watch this channel because I wanted to see comedy skits. But then I decided 87% of all my viewers are not subscribers. They're not. So why? This is the last chance, the last year. Just throw everything at it. So I decided I'd make that leap of faith and make them. So far, everyone's really enjoyed them, and I'm really thankful for that. Remember your early days, Will, when you started the channel. You do? Well, thank you, Rupal. I mean, I'm extremely appreciative of everyone that subscribes to my channel, and I'll never be able to express that, to everyone. It's not just lip service. I never ask for anybody's money. I'm not, throwing, hey, come on, I need your money, your finances. I know you have little. Give me what little you have. I'm never going to do that. I stand on my own 2 feet, and I make a go of this however I can. All I ask for people to do is subscribe and give it a thumbs up, free and free. But apparently, it's never going to, be that way for a lot of people. They refuse to see that they don't. Well, why would I want to subscribe? Not subscribed, right there in the middle, 82.8%. Subscribed, 17.3. But, gentlemen, we're coming up. It was 96% women. Now it's only 90.3% women who are actually watching the content. We're up to 9.7% when it comes to male viewership. We're in the minority, but we're still out there. Thank you, Gone Girl, about your channel through my wife. I'm so grateful for discovering your channel, pal. Thank you, Rykard. I appreciate it. Wow, don't get it. Why don't they subscribe? I don't know. That's the last 28 days right there. Go up here. That lifetime. That's lifetime. See right here, lifetime from August 27th, 2007 through January 21st, 2022. Lifetime. 81.1% female, but up here, not subscribed. 75.4% lifetime. I don't know. I mean, I guess I can go on to Fiverr. I could buy myself a lot of fake interaction to maybe do it that way. I mean, it's against YouTube's policies, but there are a lot of channels that do it, and they're still here. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I can't buy the subscribers. I can't I can't do anything more than what I do. In a lot of situations, it's it's I just have to be me, and I have to keep on doing what I'm doing, and hope for the best. I think they don't subscribe because they're afraid of being exposed. Just turn your notification. You can go right into the settings and turn it off so it doesn't show your public subscriptions. The videos. Well, I appreciate your real down to earth man. Well, thank you, Adam. All I know how to be is me. End of the day, that I think that's the best thing about besides all the work that I do is I've never let this go to my head, and I try to be the best person I can in life. I think that's the one thing that we should all want is genuine, real person who doesn't get lost in all the legal jargon, and breaks it down in such a way that we can understand. If I had just 1% of all the viewers who've watched at least 10 videos of mine over the lifetime, I would have 4.7 million subscribers if I just had 1%. I can't even get to 40,000. So, not enough about that. Well, thank you. Thank you, Gone Girl. I, all right. Sorry, I'm trying to close out some tabs here. It's so many tabs open. There we go. I get all the way back to my screen share for the news articles. Oh well. So, anybody got any big plans for the weekend? Gonna do anything fun and exciting? I'm gonna be moving furniture with my wife as much as I can aid in. I'm gonna be moving furniture apparently. Then we have music trivia tomorrow night. Gail, hello, Will and all. I love your sense of humor. Don't chat. Watch you on TV. P.S. I am subscribed. Your skits rule. A very big thank you. You're welcome, Gail, and thank you very much. Jesse, there's a certain percentage who only want BS and drama from true crime presenters. That is true, Jesse, and I know that when you actually look at the breakdown statistically, just looking at the channels that my subscribers are watching, because it tells me, okay, these are people who are watching your channel, and these subscribers and non-subscribers. It gives me the information of what they're watching, and a lot of the channels that they're watching are, well, drama channels, and there's no way other way around it itself. That's so true. People love drama. Mike Stevens had a piece of chocolate. Oh, I hope it was good chocolate. My husband is going to help me move a heavy piece of furniture, and I'm going to paint it. So a whole lot of excitement here. Yeah, we have to move. We're moving everything out of one bedroom, moving a whole nother bedroom set in, and then we have to move everything out of, well, most of my wife's craft room has to get reorganized and moved. So it's going to be fun. Ain't doing no painting though. Not this weekend. Thank God. Staying inside, cheering my home team. I'm not a sports fan at all, but I might get into the Super Bowl and play Animal Crossing. There you go. I haven't played Animal Crossing yet. A lot of my family and friends do though. My wife plays a lot of Minecraft. I subscribed to a number of channels over the last few months. These are the drama lie mongers, in my opinion. Yeah. What is $2? $2 for a bar of chocolate? That's actually pretty cheap. I mean, in comparison to the chocolate that I buy for my wife, she likes the really high cacao count in a chocolate. More towards the bitter, not the semi-sweet varieties. Just got parsley from the garden in Iowa. It's been single digits here. I just put a 5-gallon fish tank over it in a greenhouse. And sort of crafting and seeing supplies stuff. That's cool. I never thought about that. Flipping a fish tank over on top of something like that in the garden. I have a lot of fish tanks and terrariums that would work for doing something like that. And if you could keep the snow off it, because in the wintertime, the snow, and the cold, and everything just falls over. Are the Buccaneers AFC or NFC? I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure. You would think that I would know though, but I don't. Not off the top of my head. My plans this weekend, well, I'm thinking of stopping my habit of procrastinating, but we'll have to see how it goes. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Oh, Mel, that's funny. Hearts and cookies. When can I come over? I love this stealth and Laura on that mic. I'm in Nova Scotia, Canada. There is nothing growing out in my garden now. Yeah, Nova Scotia. That is where Pretty in Camo. That's her YouTube channel. She's in Nova Scotia. I only say that because it's very well known from her channel and from her actual where she's gone and done reviews of different things within her community. So it's not like I'm outing her in any way. Will, when you play golf, you drive the golf cart, right? Yes, I do, Rupel. Almost always. Normally, when I golf, I golf with my friend Tim, and he doesn't like to drive the golf cart. He would rather either walk or in pull cart, or he wants to be the passenger. So I'm like, okay, cool, I'll just drive. I only have about 6 weeks without fresh parsley chives. That'd be nice though, to be able to get fresh parsley and chives. The only way I can get it now, here where I live, is from the grocery store. But growing it yourself, you can't beat that. How's the leg? Okie dokie. It's getting better. It's going to process. Go to physical therapy once a week. And I haven't had it drained in a week now, so that's good. It's a slow process. 4 to 6 months is the total, recovery time. They're thinking it's going to be closer to the four months, maybe 5 months, right in there before I'll have 100% use out of it. Me and Tim went and golfed. What was that, last weekend? I think, yeah, last weekend when he was here. I played about 9 holes. I played a hole, took a rest, played a hole, took a rest. I didn't play all 18 by any means at all, but I didn't want to push it too far. I have the giant brace on my leg anyway, so it's kind of hard to play. But I still did it anyways. She and I are under snow right now. Wow. We get a where I live, we get, when it comes to snow, we get maybe a dusting, if we're lucky, maybe an inch, inch and a half, and then in a couple of days it's all gone. It doesn't it never sticks around here. But you wouldn't know that by the people who line up around the block at the tire centers wanting tire chains and studded tires and everything else. People just, they lose their effing minds every time it snows. And we live in a pretty flat area, so it's not like there's a lot of hills. Subscribe to Pretty and Camo. She has a video about being in the hospital in Truro, that is near you. Yeah, I saw that video. I think I commented on it too. I was kind of surprised. I was like, why are you in the hospital? It's next to the word subscribe. It's a bell, and when Will goes live, it will show up. You're quite welcome, Athena F. Hershey bars are sickly sweet. I've never been able to eat them. Hmm. I'm not much of a sweets fan myself, but they're not bad. 3 days just to bury the buses? That's a lot of snow. A lot of snow gone, girl. Every time it snows around here, my city comes to a halt. Yeah, I've got old snow drifts getting noticed. I mean, compared to I grew up, learning how to drive in the snow and live in the snow. In Wisconsin, when it snows, ladies and gentlemen, and you just get used to it. It's part of life. Here, I live in what's called it's a high desert plateau. So it snows here, even though it's flat. There's very little, hills or, definitely no mountain. Well, we're in between two mountain ranges. We have the Rockies. Well, that's reversed. So this is reversed that. So this is the Rockies. This is the Cascades, but it's actually the other way around. So the way you're seeing it, because it's reversed imaging. But we're in the valley in between the two mountain ranges, and so the weather comes this way. It goes up over the top of the mountains. It never gets a chance to drop down into the valley where we are. So it goes up over one and then over the other. Keeps it pretty dry here. Weather-wise, we don't get flooding. We don't get a lot of natural disasters. No earthquakes. Nothing at all. It's just nothingness. Come to North Carolina and play golf. I would love to. I would love to go to North Carolina and play golf. North Carolina is one of the states I have never played golf in. I've played golf in a lot of states. Every summer, well, normally until this COVID crap happened, in the month of June, I would take off and watch minor league baseball games across America, just never having a real plan. My plan was eventually to end up in Wisconsin to see my family, but it took me 2 weeks to get there, and I only got to spend a week with them. Great. If it took me 3 weeks to get there and then see them for 5 days or 2 days and then travel back, great. and everybody knew it. And I do that every year for in the month of June. I would take the entire month of June off and just do that. But I always brought my golf clubs with me, so I could. I didn't bring a whole set. I only brought a small bag. I think it was like a driver, rescue, 7, 8 iron putter, and then some golf club balls, and that was about it. So if I found a golf course someplace that I could get on, even if it was a city municipal golf course, I would, if I could get a round of golf before that night's, game, I would do it. Will, do you know about the 10 now and the golf cart? Is this a joke, Rupel? Anything in a golf cart? No. Depends on the part of Iowa. Deneen, I think it said Deneen. It went by or already. But good morning and welcome to the news and chat. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, a week, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care, Joanne. You stay safe out there. We have lots of wind this weekend in Cali. Well, you stay safe, Inner Peace. It's an actual video of an orangutan driving a golf cart. Oh, I thought it was going to be like a joke, something like, Clint Eastwood's Any Which Way But Loose. Right turn, Clyde. One out and two ain't bad. It's extremely windy. That must mean there's another front coming in. So in a couple of days, it'll be up here where I am. I'm up in Washington State. I know it sounds like a joke intro. Not windy in Sacramento today, but it was yesterday. Ooh. Yeah, so in a couple of days, it'll probably be up here where I am. Because that's how the weather pattern comes. It comes up this way along the coast, or it comes in right along the state of Oregon, Washington borderline, and then hits the Cascades first, and then over the Cascades, towards where I am. Is Deanne actually? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I didn't mean to mispronounce your name. It just went by really quickly, and I just glanced up. It's been a long week. I went by for classes. It's hard to teach high school art through a computer. You teach high school art? That is so great. Well, thank you for doing that. One of the biggest influences in my life that helped me through through a period of time, as an angsty teenager, was my art teacher. He gave me a way to be able to and showed me a way to express myself, to get those feelings out onto paper or onto a piece of canvas that made me, so I could say, what, nobody else out there in the world can understand who I am or what's going on with me, because as a teenager you never think that anybody else can. Yeah, and he said, look, here's your medium. Put it out on paper and tell people. You can tell them anything you want. You can be a happy story. It can be, a sad story. It can be how your day, your week, and everything else went. It doesn't have to be, anything that you want to show to anybody else, but just put it out on paper. He was a phenomenal teacher, and I look back on, on that, year and a half of art with him, and it was everything. And I look back and I'm like, I don't know if I would be the same person today if I wouldn't have had that outlet. But so thank you immensely for what you're doing. You never know if you can touch one child and be able to help them through that, something like that. You've done everything that you can, and that's something a lot of people will never be able to say. that they've been able to reach a child and be able to prevent them, or help them, in a way. So art is so important to our mental health, even more since the pandemic. Yeah, yeah. Um, the art teacher that I had was his name was Robert Anderson. He taught art at St. Louis Park High School in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. I think he worked for an advertising agency on top of it, but he taught art, advanced art, photography, and he kind of did it all in that way. But that's been a long time since I've been in high school. Long time. Oh, geez. I'm thinking, just roughly thinking how long ago that was. 10, 20, 30 years. Woohoo! Goes by quick. You live in Texas, everything's bigger and better in Texas. Teachers were lovely here in the UK. My husband is an amazing amateur artist. Large, colorful acrylic canvases, beautiful. Well, that's cool. My favorite medium was crepe. I love the instantaneous. It felt instantaneous to me because I could, I didn't have to, do so much. I could just sketch it out, and charcoal or something, and then do the crepe over that, But that's just me. That it's sad in a lot of school districts. You don't get art. You don't get music anymore. My son's school has absolutely no art, and they have for when it comes to music, you get two choices: steel band or you get choir. That's it. There is nothing for when it comes to music and art. Nope, there isn't even an art classroom in the entire elementary school. They've done away with it, and it's sad. So my son takes dance. He takes a uh, you can call it dance. It's more like follow a leader on a stage. Fine art is required to graduate in Texas. Is it? Oh, that's cool. At least they offer it there still. That's what's important. A lot of school systems budget cutbacks and they just slashed it away. Where my son goes to school, my daughter went to school there before. They demolished the entire school and they built a brand new school. The school is only about 7 years old, and they never even built an art classroom in the entire school. When it comes to music class, it's held in the cafeteria because there is no music classroom in the entire school. They have these giant carts they pull out, and they have a stage when they do performances, and they just kind of set it all up. And otherwise, there's no auditorium in the school either. But that was how they designed it: more smaller classrooms, and more teachers, overall, and educators, and they did away with all these things that could definitely help develop children in elementary school. It's all gone. Starfire. They would do away with PE. Yeah, well, that's one thing that we're actually kind of thankful that they do have here is they do have a physical education requirement here. Yeah, get that. You were required to take three classes in order to graduate. You have to have so much PE. you have to have so much state history classes, and then you have to have civics. Yeah, those are the requirements along on top of all the other, English, math, and stuff like that you have to take along the way. But they've done away with so much. In the high school level, they used to have auto mechanics, wood shop, and other classes like that. That would teach vocational classes or get children interested in the vocations. Those gone. They're completely gone. Where the classes used to be, they bulldozed them and made room for a parking lot. We have theater, band, orchestra, dance, and visual arts. We have a new facility as well. 3 art classrooms, dance hall, band hall, orchestra. Wow, that sounds great. Wish they had some of that here, but they don't. Cosmetology as well. Mm. Yeah, but the high school my wife went to, we went by and visited, and it's been remodeled and expanded since she went to high school there. And where the auto mechanics class is, the building is still there, but it's all boarded up. They just said nope, and it's not that there it wasn't any interest in it. The interest has always been there. It's just not the they don't have the money to run it. Yeah, they have barbering classes too. 30-minute PE per day through senior year high school required to graduate in Iowa. Wow. I don't. I'm not sure what the when it comes to the physical education, what the requirement is, but I know they have to have so many per year. It's like you have to take one PE class. I think is per. So once is your freshman, one's a sophomore, one's a junior, one is a senior. Unless you go to a STEM school. We have a lot of STEM schools here, and that's what my daughter ended up doing. Was from her freshman year through high school, through graduation, she went to a STEM school that was started by Bill and Melinda Gates and the Gates Foundation. So, and they have no PE at all. It's more science, mathematics driven, and the curriculum. But they had an art class, and that they had to take, that were part of their requirement. I think they had like 3 different choices. It was either music, art, or something else. But that's just the way it is here. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up this morning's stream there. I want to thank everybody for stopping in this morning, and chatting with me and going over the news. Um, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and stay safe out there in what you're doing. Listen, check out Joanna Larson's Crochet Prodigy Adoption at Ethiopia Boy from La Crosse, Wisconsin. No less YouTube. He's incredible, and his mom. Huh. The only mountains in Texas are the Van Horn, Alpine, Marfa, Sierra Blanca, and El Paso. Well, thank you again, everyone. Appreciate everyone being here. Just trying to find that comment there. Rupal, isn't he his mom too? I will see from Wisconsin. He might know them. Don't know. I've never heard of him though. I read the other comment, but I don't know him. Well, thank you, everyone. Dummy down American education. Athena, you are absolutely right. When it comes to a lot of ways, when we wonder why America is falling behind farther and farther, and we become as more we come our education system is going this way, our violent level is going this way, and we wonder why. But that's what we get. Thank you again, everyone. I hope you all have a great week. Don't forget tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Well, no, it's not 7. 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Not 7. 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. PDT is music trivia starts at 5 p.m. now, not 7. 5. 5. You all have a great weekend. Stay safe out there.